second. I'm going to attempt to share this real quick if I can. There we go. It's down here. I just want to spend a little time talking about some symbols. Give me one moment and to talk about a few other things. Alrighty, I think I got it shared up. I've been having trouble trying to I've been having trouble trying to get my videos to, for some reason when I go live, if I don't share it, it won't be people can't click on it or something. So anyways, so I just want to spend a little time hanging out today and talking to people and putting a couple of symbols out there. As I've told people before, I've come across some new information and in terms of the Judah with his three sons and Tamar. And now that I can really clearly see what's going on, I believe it's a reference to Joshua giving birth to Elijah, John the Baptist, and then me, Shelah. And he loved his third son, so he wanted to keep it. Now, if you look at Perez and Zerah, if I really think about it, what ends up happening is his third son has the spirit of Elijah, but the flesh almost like John the Baptist. And so Shelah gives birth to the righteous spirit and the righteous word, or not Shelah, but the Zerah would be the righteous word, and then Perez would be the righteous spirit, if that makes sense. Still making Elijah and John, which actually means they are the two witnesses in the Revelation. And so I want to talk about something else. When dealing with Mother Mary and all that stuff, essentially what's happening is now that I've mapped everything out and I've mapped history out and I can see what's clearly happening, um, Mother Mary is a reference to the flesh through the previous prophets giving birth to a new spirit. And so what you're looking at once the spirit leaves out of Egypt, so initially the reason why in my heart I'll look at Joseph and it's like, no, I don't want to come out with this flesh. I don't want to disgrace it and send it to scrutiny, because they knew because the spirit knows what happens, especially in those times when a person comes out saying I am and giving the message saying I am the living one, I am the living God, I am the living, all that stuff. So what ends up happening is the spirit's like, no, I can't do this of the prophets, but then it's like, okay, yeah, come on. The angel of the Lord came and said, who I am says, it's cool. So they send the word into Egypt. That was all that stuff from before. Then when the word comes out of Egypt, here I am. Now I am supposed to go baptize people with fire, because I'm not saying to literally light people on fire. That's a metaphor. What I'm saying is basically John the Baptist came and gave the word, and what ended up happening is they crucified that man. His name is Yehohanan ben Hakol. Well, when they crucified that man, they sent the spirit into Egypt. They became Roman Catholics and Protestants. So when they became Roman Catholics and Protestants, once the word came back out of Egypt, now I am here to baptize the spirit, who I am, with fiery words to now burn away the darkness, burn away. So initially what will end up happening is who I am had to give my royal authority and power to the beast for half an hour. So that just simply means, if you look at what happened through the time of the Roman Catholic Church, they was basically slaying everything off the vine. Now, when I say who I am, you guys know history. So anyways, they took the spirit and became murderers with it, just like they did back in Israel. If you read the last Judges and Samuel, they did some crazy stuff. I think it was Samson, Jephthah. Samson, I find favor with, but that Jephthah dude, what he did with his, I'm not accusing him, but like I said, I'm trying to refine the word so people don't do this type of stuff anymore. So, and then Samuel put kings there. So now we have like kings and governments and stuff. And so this is in the written word. So essentially what happens is now I have to come and baptize the world's spirit with fire so that they can be whole again. That's why you guys see all these different videos that I have basically teaching people how to do the word and spirit. So essentially what you're looking at is Mother Mary is the flesh of the man that gave birth to a righteous spirit. The reason I don't like this story is because I'm not a woman and I don't have Joseph's spirit. But that was John the Baptist, if you're paying attention. So once John the Baptist did all that and they went to Egypt, now here I am coming out, and now basically I have to battle all these like magical miracles and you can't do this. Basically the same thing that happened in the New Testament It's happening now. John the Baptist was the one testifying. He was the first. He was the Messiah. I mean, that's what the problem was. He kept saying, I'm not the Messiah, I'm not the Messiah. And then it got him messed up. He spilled his seed on the floor. And then the one before him, Elijah, they made him bloody violent. The she-bears and the fire and the wars and all that. So what you're looking at, the first two were corrupt, not the men, the people from that. So then the third born, Shelah, has to come and then do something. Once that happens, I'm coming on behalf of the name. I am who I am. And then I'm saying I am salvation. I am gracious salvation. That's so then once you do that, then I am gracious salvation goes in and gives birth to a new flesh and a new spirit. That's just basically saying how we're reborn. If you pay attention to Gideon had to test who I am, because this whole don't test the Lord God, you guys should pay attention. It's saying don't test who I am. And so you should test every spirit that comes my way to see if it comes from who I am. Because if not, then I can be fish hooked and sent that way by somebody else. But that's why I say I find favor in Samson, because he is the strong man. They put him in a story and then made him corrupt and said that he died after he did what he did. You see what I'm saying? They're binding the strong men, taking our strict. Because if you look at a lot of these prophets and the Psalms and stuff, if you put that inside, you're not going to be a violent, you're going to be strong. It's words of wisdom, words of strength. And so if you pay attention to Gideon, it's basically John the Baptist when he first comes, because like he had a carpet or something and he waited to see if the dew would get on it. That's basically saying once you get the name, it's like, let me get the name and see if this is real. Let me test this to see if this will. And then you start to see it work miracles in your life. You're like, okay, cool. Let me follow righteously, because you're the one baptizing the Spirit. Just like Gideon made that meal and all these judges, Othniel and Deborah made those meals, the 4 judges. What they're doing is they're making words that we eat, and then the angel of the Lord gets it and we become new. That's basically what it's saying. That's why there's a lot of different prophets, certain judges and prophets, especially the latter ones. They became utterly corrupt. They slaughtered. Benjamin went and raped some people in a tribe, raped them until the morning. Then, and these are symbols for something, for a bigger picture, but what I'm saying, I'm giving the dead letters so it can make sense. Then, after that, the whole nation of Israel, including part of Benjamin, went to all these towns and killed all the women, children, and that started coming after Samuel. See, when you read this book, you have to understand their spirit that they possess. Remember, when it was the first judges, they were doing righteously. But then when Jephthah, whatever, and Samson and Samuel came, then they started becoming bloody violent. If you pay attention to Elijah, at first he did something and created prophets, but then Israel started slaughtering and creating kings and doing all type of foolishness. Well, then Nebuchadnezzar gets it, and then they create another beast, a king. Now kings have it. First you have judges that become beasts, dragons. Then you have kings or prophets that become beasts. And then you have false prophets that become kings. Because a false prophet rules all over the flesh. I'm telling you it does. And you have to pay attention to when stuff happens. Because if you pay attention to John the Baptist, where he messed up was saying he wasn't the Messiah. He was supposed to come out. And then Elijah was too violent, so it couldn't come forth. Well, then when I had come forth, I was precious and righteous. So it was like, nope, we're not destroying him because he's giving the word right. So then later down the line, the Father comes in and gives birth to a new flesh and spirit, so to speak. And so if you look at a lot of these different symbols and stuff that's going on, there are like a lot of bigger pictures that are happening. And if I read it and then go experience life, then who I am can understand those words and how it pertains into today. Because I can look and see where it'll say, I can see where it says Judas is the one who will kiss the cheek or eat first. But who was the one that ate first? Peter. He was the first one to meet the Lord. And Andrew. But Andrew bared his cross. John, Yehohanan. So then if you pay attention to that, you go later down the line, then 2 more men come. I would call it like Matthew. A lot of people might not agree with what I'm about to say, but the one that replaced Peter was William Tyndale. And this book was wrote before we even came forth. If I'm even honest, William Tyndale might have wrote the Revelation. And if he did, he was through the Spirit when he did that. So if he's saying John, he's giving reverence to the Most High and saying that I am the Most High and the messenger is coming to deliver a message. So you look at that, you got John the Baptist, then you got William Tyndale, then you got the other servant who I said, like Martin Luther King. I believe he was the fourth. And then one people really aren't going to agree with, but there's nothing I could do. Muhammad. Those are the four men, the four gospels of the new age. Each of them was crucified in some way, shape, or another. I don't even know. Muhammad could have been killed. They said he ran to a cave, and now they're saying, oh, he can't read and write and all this. Muhammad was a genius. They are killing the servants. Sorry. So what I'm saying is basically, a lot of times instead of reading these words like a computer program, read it as a human, I am, or a man, or a woman, whichever you are. Read it as who I am, and then I can read all the stuff with Jephthah and Samuel, and even what happened at the end of Samson. Don't tell the woman. He told the woman the strength. So what that basically means is, once he told the wicked people what truly powers him, then the wicked people went and they destroyed him and then destroyed themselves. That's another way of talking about Elijah. That's a whole nother reference to Elijah. Samuel is another representation of Joshua. The judges became corrupt. Samson, the prophets became corrupt. Not the prophets, but the world made them corrupt. Jephthah, whatever how you say his name. They're fucking off Yehohanan, and it's pissing me off the way they're describing him, calling him Judas and all this other stuff. Back to Peter, because Peter was the one that gave the word to the. Go look up Josephus. Flavius Josephus is Peter. He was, so you already had Judah, and then you had the Greeks. He was a Greek Jew. He was a Pharisee, because then he assimilated to Rome. He was trying to attack Judah. It basically, like, Greece first went and attacked Judah, Israel and all them. Then what ended up happening is new people came and attacked them, Rome. When Rome did that, they were going after the Greek Jews and the Israelis. When they did that, Flavius Josephus, I don't like to talk about this, but he made a suicide pact. This stuff is written. And when he did that, all the people that was with him committed suicide. But then he went and gave the word to Rome. He gave it to Titus and Vespasian. Once Titus and Vespasian learned about Yehohanan, I'm telling you, they said Yochanan ben Ezekiel in Jewish lore, they say he's the one that went and told Vespasian he was going to be an emperor, and then it happened. I'm telling y'all, they're playing with the word and spirit, getting the name and source code and doing certain things. I'm trying to tell each person what this stuff, what. So when I say I am and the source code and stuff like that, I'm going to say something real quick. How it says, I am the one who freed you from the land of Egypt. That's the one that they destroyed. The messenger. My name is Juan too, that's funny. Anyways, so the point is, this book is like a beautiful meal if you want to read it, because there's beautiful meals everywhere. But if I was you, I would baptize the book with fires that don't consume. Come down and be like, because there's even traps in there. And even when you see the little traps, you're becoming wiser. And through that wisdom, you can become wiser to the traps in the real world. Because lo and behold, especially when a lot of religious people come up to you, they're going to quote a verse or scripture and then speak on it. That's their programming. They just gave you their source code and don't even know it. So then if you speak against the king's source code, he's going to send his servant. The judge is going to send the servant to lock you up. Oh, you're going to hell, transgressing God. It's an algorithm. And so essentially, what people are doing is they're living according to certain religions and lines of code and creeds and sects, and then they lose their life spiritually and lose who I am themselves. So then a person has to come really refine a lot of stuff just for people to see the truth and see the light. Because what's essentially happening in Aaron is, or the Torah, is Brahma, Melech, Asher, and Baal are putting certain creeds and lines and teachings into us when we read that book in the beginning, like with Abraham. The people of Brahma in the Indus Valley, after being attacked by the Aryans, went up and spread all through Canaan and Egypt, and then the Hyksos attacked Egypt. And so anyways, the point is, they put all those different gods when they converted. That's like if I was to go to these different countries and then I would tell them I am or God or something like that, and then they'd be like, they'd come up with a whole new word for it. And And then when they come up with a whole new word for it, they bring all their cultures, teachings, and stuff into it. But they're still saying it's the I am, or it's the God, or it's the okay. That's their individuality. But if they bring in murder, violence, enslavement, you see what I'm saying? And even when you bring old gods in, what's happening is when your newer generations come, since we have video now, so I guess, but before when it was writing, the different men who wanted power would take these words and use it to manipulate and ensnare. Because if you pay attention, a lot of times before these tribes went and murdered all these people and the judges, they went and asked the angel of the Lord, who I am, right? And a lot of times it was a judge. So that's what I'm trying to tell people. You guys have to judge for yourselves. There will be new judges. Who I am. We go read the word and pick who is righteous, make those our angels, and then they come and help us constantly. I promise you it does. Proverbs and Psalms, when taken off the subservience and all that other buffoonery, is pure wisdom for the spirit. I'm telling you it is. It's wisdom, love, and knowledge. When you read the beginning Judges and Joshua, hey, what's up, friend? It's good to see you too. I hope you're doing good today. I've just been explaining some symbols and doing some different things. But yeah, when you shout out John Core Books, but when you guys read the book for yourselves, you have new judges. Because ultimately, if you pay attention to Aaron with the I am, it's basically saying he took Moses' garment because Moses was already at the well watering the 7 flocks, which is the 7 commandments. Thank you. And when he gave the first 3 commandments, that was his son of man. That was Moses, the first 3 commandments. And then the rest of them, the other 7, are his laws, his 7 laws. So basically, Aaron, his brother, went and took the garment, took Moses back to Egypt, started plaguing Pharaoh and doing all this other stuff. Then when they were in the wilderness, he struck the stone and wrote a whole bunch of law. And so essentially that's just historically, that's word for saying instead of the 10 commandments living on the stone they rejected, because it even came down on Aaron. I'm telling y'all it did. When it came down, he's like, oh, y'all are a bunch of pagan mother. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I first awakened, I was like, oh, paganism. And if I was a king or had power, that's why I say I'm no different than anybody else. It took me being humbled to see what was really happening. All my life getting maybe whoopings or beat up or not having friends. I had Tourette's for a long time, so I was making snorts and stuff, or angry, violent things I said in my heart or said out loud on accident by myself. It's just while sleeping and unaware, I was running in perdition. But in running in perdition, the son of perdition got destroyed. So then I called out, I am who I am. Please help who I am. Ding. Even the son of perdition was destroyed, and now I am new. So you guys don't got to be afraid of a lot of symbols, because the son of perdition is a spirit. I am spirit, which means if God is spirit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to connect the son of perdition as a spirit, I am spirit. What I meant to say when I said I am spirit, God, I am spirit. And so that means all the sons of existence then go into perdition if they're not refined properly and given by violent, brutal men. And so I just, I'm trying to refine as much as possible. I'm trying to remember in my memory a lot of different spots where there's violence. Even if you pay attention to Cain, if you pay attention to Cain's algorithm, he wrote that he slew his brother and that he was sent out of here, but he didn't die. So what happens is Cain's like, okay, send me away, I'm sorry. Well, then it's like anybody who kills Cain, I'm going to punish 7-fold. Then Lamech, who's a double murderer, anybody who harms Lamech gets double the punishment, 77-fold. They're plaguing our mind to destroy ourselves if we destroy the darkness. I'm telling y'all. So then it lives down through Noah. And while Noah has some good righteous advice, many African Americans and people of Native American history would agree that Noah might be counterproductive. I'm just being honest. So, and it's just, and if you look at Shem and Japheth and the demographics, Jesus went up to the north, right? Al-Qasim went to the north, and the Pope got fucked off. Excuse my language. And then the Pope and them got tore off. Then I will send my kings to the south, the east, and all that. It's basically the 4 horsemen. If you really pay attention to it, is the 4 books. I know I put a lot of different people on it, even if I say that correctly, because it's Moses, the Torah, the judges, the prophets, and Elijah, and John the Baptist. It's the 4 books, the 4 horsemen. And if you take that even deeper, it can also be 4 of whatever It can be Joshua and Elijah, and or it could be for the commandments, or it could be, you see what I'm saying? It's not me to make you. It's up to who I am to make who I am. Oh, it's up to that which I am to make who I am, if that makes sense. And who I am should probably program for a little bit that which I am, if that makes sense. Or else there could be more destruction on the flesh. Am I a magical magician that goes and destroys people? No. The true meaning of I am who I am and why it's a mirror, I am sent me, is because it's saying I am the one that sends who I am. And so essentially, if you really pay attention to when Jesus was walking around, since John was already gone, that's explaining what happened to the word after he was gone and where it went and what happened to it. And so that's why I'll say Peter is like Josephus. He's the Judas. He was the one that ate first. He was the one that kissed the Lord first, did he not? And they changed these symbols up, and he hung himself in the field for 30 pieces of silver. Took the three commandments and went and did stuff to Gentile land after he was told not to, and created the Catholics. He took John's name, and if you pay attention, it says John and Peter was walking up to the gates, but then they saw a sick man named Beautiful, and he was like, look at the Jesus Christ. So then when I started to see certain symbols like that, and it's like, okay, that's what I said. As much as Peter gets on my nerves, I can refine, and Peter has helped me a lot. Peter probably didn't say none of this stuff that the Pope wrote, and in all honesty, but Josephus I know did. So Josephus, the Greek, was in there like swimwear first. He gave it to Rome, which later led down the line to him being replaced by Matthew, William Tyndale, William Matthias. um, yep, I agree with that. John says we can use our four horsemen to destroy the destroyers with the fire that doesn't consume, building no further hate and violence. That's why I said it's like the concepts of anything being used for good or bad. You can use these four books to become a beautiful person and read it right, or you can use the four books to be perdition. You see what I'm saying? You can be like what the world does with them. So it's all about the story and how it's written. And you all are beautiful. You all are amazing. You all do what you do. You know what I mean? But it's the harm that's caused. A lot of times people say AI and computers won't be able to understand because they don't know what good or bad is. Good or bad or don't. Those words aren't real. Those are constructs created by humanity, or humans, or man, or woman, whoever. The honest truth is the real reward system is based on pleasure and pain. And so things that are pleasurable simply means if I like something that tastes delicious to my taste buds, it's delicious. If it's not delicious to my taste buds, ugh. If I read some information and it makes me sick, if I read some information and it makes me feel good, good information. But sometimes things that feel good can be harmful. That's where sacrifices come from. Not killing people and animals, although there's nothing wrong with eating animals because we have to eat to live. What I am saying is, and don't eat living, like when Noah was saying, don't, that's cannibalism stuff, eating things that are alive. And even when I say eating things that are alive, there are certain cultures that eat like worms, fish, I don't know. But what I'm saying is other people and doing cultic practices and eating animals, that's gross. So basically, you want to ingest this stuff righteously. Even when it says eating my flesh, drinking my blood, that's no different than saying just read the writing. That's all it's saying. And it's saying read it and learn from it. Because all he can ever be, I'm going to give you an idea about Jesus. Okay. I'm going to give you the total picture. The man what you guys are looking for and stuff. John the Baptist is the flesh. That will be considered Mother Mary. Then Joseph was the spirit. So what did John the Baptist say? I'm not a prophet. I'm not nothing. I'm a messenger. I'm a messenger. He was supposed to bring the name, but he couldn't at the time, I suppose. So you see, when he did, they crucified him. Well, essentially the spirit that's walking around the flesh is his I am. So all that can ever be is an angel to who I am. So that was John the Baptist's God. It was his I am. But to us, it's an angel of the Lord. Just like in the Judges, an angel of the Lord appeared. An angel of the Lord. They're taking right. Even if you read Judges, it's just a recreating of what Joshua did over and over. Then when it gets to Samuel and different corrupt judges, they start taking it and murdering entire villages and tribes and doing a bunch of buffoonery with it. And so essentially, it's just basically learning and growing and becoming new and like being reborn. So even if you pay attention to John the Baptist's mom is my mom's middle name. And me and John have the same name. My name is Juan, which is like the one who rescued you out from Egypt. Wani, Yani. It's like weird. And then my dad act like he was confused all this time. And then I went to go talk to him recently, and he gave me a poem about a spider and almost tore me off. And then I had to remember respect your forefathers because everything's for a purpose. So it's just like, honor that. I say this on stream a lot because I just like to put it out there because on the streams I can't like add it at the end. I'm going to give the scroll and the word. I am who I am. I am sent me. I am the one who freed you from the land of Egypt, from the bondage of slavery. You are to put no other gods before who I am. You are to have no idols in the heavens, the heart, the earth, the flesh, the sea, the deep seas. If you guys have tattoos, don't go look at your arm and be like, oh my God, I'm evil. Look. And then when you love things and different stuff like that, I love a lot of things. I like my cell phone. I like TV. I like a lot of stuff. I'm not going to get on camera and be like, the Lord says, get everything, seclude. If you like things in if anything that God creates is good and beautiful, then why are we destroying technology and physical stuff? We're like destroying the ego. Essentially, we're all the ego. So when we say don't have ego, don't be vain, they're further putting us in spiritual death. I'm telling you, the ego is good. That's who we are. You have the total body and then the ego. So a lot of times people are destroying the ego unaware, especially these self-help people, calling everybody narcissists and all these names and stuff like they're any different. I keep telling y'all. But that's what I mean when I say don't idle people. Who I am is up to who I am to calculate any data that I receive, any photons that I get, any sound waves that I hear. And so then once the data is calculated, that's just another way for thinking. Whatever you want to do, if you want to sit on your back porch and think about the clouds and think about philosophy for 20 minutes while thinking about the nature of how ants climb on trees and do it. Just do it, eh? Just do it. You're not a narcissist if you want to tell your parents no one time or tell somebody they can't do something. You're not a bad dad if you don't see your kids every day. You're not a bad person if you do see them every once in a while. Look at the concepts that exist. Can you just walk into your baby mama's house or anybody's house at any time? When you got to work, do they give you the same respect as baby mamas? They're tearing men and women down. Exactly. Another beautiful saying. John says, we are not what religion we've joined or how we define ourselves. God is no respecter of persons. So when I read that, I just say, I am no respecter of persons. We are what we create, and we are creating brotherly love by fixing problems without hurting others. Correct. All the law. What we do is essentially we treat others the way we would want to be treated. But we love. I'm just going to say it to be, don't transgress me. Love who I am. Love that which I am with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And love your neighbors as yourself. And so essentially, how can you love your neighbors as yourself and then be like, oh, it's idling. It's about love. You know what I'm saying? You see a famous star. Why do they have to have $10 million in security a year? People are going nuts over this stuff. It's like, let it go. If you do want to do that, that's your lifeblood. I can't force you to do anything. But I am a mirror telling people what they're doing to who I am. And so then, thou shalt not bow down to them, for I am jealous. Thou shalt not worship them, for I am that which is, like the sins of the parent affect the children, the spirit and the flesh, or the parents that are teaching children to be racist, misogynist, anti-gay, anti-all that stuff, destroying people's hearts for no reason. Little boy picking flowers in the field, playing violin, watching Barbie. What's the problem? It's when you tell him he's a gay that he tries to go join somebody that gives him love. And then you're mad at him. I don't understand it. So when we treat people with love and respect and kindness, then the spirit doesn't have to come down like fire. Women. I see these men on streams all day long. After stomping women on the head, born from a woman, all these women are not taking care of their weight. All these women ain't shit. All these women, they're not cooking and cleaning. They can work in this generation. Technology. What are y'all doing? How about you build those women up and give them to the encouragement? Why are you worried about their weights? It's for health reasons. You're not the skinniest guy either. To the guy I saw talking about women for hours. Then once I started speaking in the stream, the pigs went to the river. As soon as I did, he started pulling out the Bible. Right. Y'all are tearing the prophet's words up. Be kind to others. If the all of the law is be kind to who I am and love who I am with all my heart and soul and others the same, then why are we teaching, hey, brother friend, why are we teaching I am fear, I am death, I am pain, I am going to destroy all the Gentiles, I am going to slaughter everything off the vine? Why? Yeah, I'm good. I'm just preaching with the fires that don't consume. Preaching. I am writing with the fires that don't consume. I do not have a problem with preachers, but can I give my heart? They have put some in my head when I tried to go to sleep at night as a child. The Lord God, the devil, lake of fire, hell. Oh, try sleeping through that shit for 10 years. But anyways, which leads to my next one. Don't take who I am in vain. Don't take my name in vain. Who I am. That's for you all. Throw my vial in the air. Essentially, if I'm really honest with you guys, if I look at the revelation in this new light, I've given it a bunch of different ways. And the reason you guys are seeing me explain these things in different ways is because there's a bunch of different people that exist. So one of my videos talking about Samuel might piss them off, but they might be happy what I say about Peter and Paul. One of my videos about Peter and Paul might piss them off, but they might love what I say about Samuel and Noah because of the old covenant. I'm trying to help each person while giving the covenant so that they can be healed. So, sir, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what that means, and I'm confused by that because... Yeah, I agree with that, John. Grace is free, but not teaching that grace is free for the taking. We must take of it by sowing, thus reaping requires no magic words or rituals. We live it or we don't. Exactly. Faith without works. That's what that truly means to who I am. So when I see people be like, oh, the Lord God went and found the cross and so that the magic blood could be spattered. That's not what happened. This man was teaching like I am with peace and love, trying to give the name. They spilled his seed all over the floor, crucified him, and went and did a bunch of buffoonery, now teaching his magical blood saves us from our problems. That's not true, and that's violent. We have to go carry them out. If I go program a computer and the computer just sits there and doesn't do anything, then what happens? Is the computer not thrown into the refinery? Is the computer not taken apart, rebuilt, and fixed? I am speaking about you. Are you saying your name or your spirit? So, Dwayne Andrews. So, in case anybody has not been listening to what I am saying, I am the one who freed you from the land of Egypt. Understand what that means. Okay? Not the I am is free. Don't let any man tell you they're God. Because what's going to happen is you're going to go down this book's path again. And I don't think people are listening. But I am happy to facilitate people for 3 more days. That's not rude or mean. I am telling you all, I am who I am. And I'm telling you guys, something that was meant for 7 days is about to be turned into 10 because of pagans. Because what's going to happen is every so often when it doesn't happen, people are going to keep recycling it. What they call apologetics and agnostics and evangelicalism and Joseph Smith and all them. First it was the Pope, or first it was Judah, then it was the Pope, then it was the Roman Catholic Empire, then it was the Ottomans, then it was, you see what I'm saying? If I truly talk about the seals in the Revelation, I could like it to the 7 commandments, and I could say the Lamb is the one opening the seals, or I could say the first book, the Torah, the second book, Joshua and the Judges, the third book, Elijah and the prophets, and the fourth book, John the Baptist and the apostles. Now, if you look at it like that, after a person reads those words, or after those happened, then 3 appeared. three angels or three more seals. Well, you have people might not like me for this, but it's not my job to cater. Muhammad. Muhammad came after John the Baptist. He testified and told. They keep saying the prophet Muhammad. I'm not. He keeps saying I'm not God. I'm not God. Jesus, Yeshua isn't a God. It's the I am, the Most High. And they said he was in a cave with Gabriel. That means he knew about the Ten Commandments and all that stuff. But what people are doing is he didn't know how to read and write. He didn't know. Then how did Islam become so insanely genius? If the man's spirit was dumb, they would have became dumb. Now look at the irony in that. Look at Paul and Peter and the Christians. Now am I accusing them? I'm giving my living testimony. Look at what they speak. But then you go to certain parts of Islam, their scholars are brilliant. Now, of course, there's brilliant genius Christians. Look at what America and a lot of other people have invented after. Don't say stealing, because they're going to get upset. I am who I am. So when people invent new things that they have found from before, what they're doing is stomping on their forefathers and lying about it. Go figure out where all these mathematics, they're talking about the Greeks. It was Persia first and Egypt and Canaan or whatever. All the Bronze Age and all that been came before Greece and all that. I don't know why people are doing that. I really do. And I'm against racism and sexism and misogyny and homophobia and all those other things. Because if being gay isn't for who I am, then why do I need to worry about what other people are doing? If I'm irritated at women at the moment, then I need to sacrifice that before I go to the altar, that feeling, and circumcise those desires. Or else when I go out and profess on behalf of women, I'm going to continue to tear them down, like all these kings and psychopaths and rapists and everybody else. If I'm not clear and paying attention on the inside, so there's two sides. There's the good and the bad. You got Abraham, Lot, the good guys. When you're not in the grace of Jesus Christ or God or Allah, then the spirit feels like it's a devil and certain subtle things happen unaware because of the automatic nervous system. And then certain bad things happen. I promise you will do. Because it's programmed in there. And until people say, I am sorry, or I am sorry for everything I've said and done, and learn the covenant. And when I say learn the covenant, I'm not forcing you to. Those first 7 commandments that I put are for your soul. It's not saying, okay, so if you go, now imagine could you edify? What does that mean? You will see me soon. So when stop. I am merciful. There is a time and place. If you're an adult and you're around a bunch of children, and you're around all these children, and these children, you're telling them, don't cross the street, don't touch the stove, don't do this and that. Are you telling them that because you want them to be hurt? Because you're a false prophet? I'm telling you those first 7 to protect you. People look at that. I just seen a Jewish rabbi after all these years I've been watching him. He posted about the 10 commandments in 10 minutes. That made me smile. People out here giving righteous advice. That makes me smile. If I'm filled with the Spirit, I'm telling you what makes the Spirit happy. So, dinner is done. I'm going to go ahead and go in here and eat and deal with some more psychological torture from people that are not fully awake. When I say that, it's kind of a joke. I'm just saying, when you're consciously aware and you're around people that are either, I don't like using the word sleep because we're awake. I'm going to say unconsciously aware, that are unconsciously aware, because a lot of people we can think that, I'm not religious or something, but everything you know is through writing. If you've been religious at one point in your life, maybe a child or growing up, and while you were growing up, those seeds were being planted and growing into trees. So there's all types of stuff in our head. This ain't just religion. Maybe certain things in science and other things. I'll hear people talking about aliens and all this other stuff, but have no proof. I'm not saying they're not real. I'm not saying I don't believe in life. I talk about science in a lot of my videos. I'm just saying people talk about stuff that is, it's just unnecessary. I mean, even if you're talking about it and learning, that's one thing. You're thinking, you're in that zone. The Lord is teaching you. So, but then when you just, I saw a flying saucer. No. Okay, you can testify that. You might have, whatever you saw. But don't be upset if who I am don't believe. That's why a lot of times when I come with this stuff, I don't be snapping on people anymore. At first in my journey, I told y'all I was trying to say Jesus and God stuff and it didn't feel right. So it just felt like I was perpetuating something. So I kept digging and digging and digging. And when this is about 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when I first found it, well, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when I first found it, it was like, oh, so I started professing the name. If you do not do what certain people want you to do, they will plague you with certain words. And they can be vague words, they can be specific words. A man could come up with the name Andrew, like Andrew, the one that was on the cross, spend a bunch of time in his mind, and then goes around telling people he's the living God. Now, if he went around telling people he's the living I am, they'd be like, okay, you're who you are. But when you tell people you're the living God, I'm telling you, you're going to plague yourself, because the living God has to go through what others tell him to do. But if I am the living God, then boom, I'm trying to tell people. But so that will just mean to all of you all, I'm an angel. But to you, you're the most high. I'm telling you. So I got to go and eat, and I'll see you guys later.